All right, this is the Math Models Unit 6 or Pro Unit 7 video for the review. So I'm going to go over the questions here on the study guide and just kind of tell you what you need to know for the test. I pretty much mirrored the test in terms of the questions on the study guide. They are duplicates of what's on the test with different numbers, different situations, but more or less the same skills that you need to solve the ones on the test. So I'm going to leave this formula chart up here, and I'm going to jump over to my note-taking app so that I can work these problems out for you. And they are here. So hop over here. And let's start with, there we go, first question. All right. So like I said, I'm going to work through these problems, talk you through the kind of things you need to be doing, what formulas you need, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, this will be a review, nothing new, just kind of seeing again how to do certain types of problems. First one says, Will has a job that pays $537 monthly. How much is withheld annually for Medicare? So we have two key pieces of information. First, he gets paid monthly, and then we want to know annually. So we're going to need to do some kind of conversion there at some point. And then, of course, we're looking at the Medicare. So we can go ahead and just take the Medicare portion of his job or his pay by doing 537 times, and then we're going to look at Medicaid or Medicare is 1.45%. So if I'm going to do that in a decimal form, I'm going to do 0.0145. That's really important. Remember, 1.45%. If I want to convert a percent into a decimal, I need to move the decimal point 2 places and add a 0 there. And so that's how I get that for the decimal form of 1.45%. All right, so let's go over to our calculator and find out what that is. It's going to be 537 times 0.0145, and we get 7.7865. We're going to round to the nearest cent, so $7.79 is what's going to be withheld each month. So this is monthly, but I want to know annually. So in order to do annual, I've got to multiply times 12. So over here, and we'll do times 12. The answer from the previous problem, 93.44. Now, go ahead and say this now. If you're doing rounding, you're always going to have maybe a little bit off on your answers. So just be aware of that as you go into the test. They're going to be multiple choice. So just remember that you need to find the answer that's closest to the one that you get. So that's pretty straightforward. You find the percentage for Medicare, and then you multiply it to get it to the annual, which is what they're asking. Okay. Next one. Ms. Bridgewater wants to have $5,000 in 5 years. She plans to invest $1,000 to start and make yearly payments of $900 to the account at the beginning of each year. She will be receiving 3.3 interest compounded quarterly on her investment. Will she reach her goal? Will she reach her goal? So in other words, will she have $5,000 in 5 years? All right. I realized after I read this question that this number 2 is going to be one of the ones that we skipped on for lesson 10. You're not responsible for this on the test, so I will throw those questions out. So just be aware of that. Don't worry about this type of question. Moving on. Same thing with number 3. So again, those questions are eliminated. I've made a note of that on the actual study guide, and I've did a strike through on those, so you're not responsible for them. These you are responsible for, starting with number 4. Mr. Matthews invested $300 in a regular savings account that paid simple interest at a rate of 2.52% per year. How much was the investment worth in 1 year? This should say 2.52% should be the percent rate. I'll make sure I change that over here. Go ahead and do that right now. Okay. So we need to find the simple interest formula here. If we hop over to our study guide and look at the formula chart, simple interest is I equals PRT. Let's write that down. So I equals PRT. That's going to give us the interest, the amount earned in interest. So that means that interest is going to equal P times R times T. P is the principal, that's the amount you start with, $300. R is the rate as a decimal, so it's going to be 0.0252. Again, I have to convert this into a decimal by moving the decimal point 2 places, adding a 0 to compensate for that space. And then T is going to be in 1 year. So I just multiply those three together, and that will give me the amount for the interest. 300 times 0.0252. 300 times 0.0252 times 1, which isn't really going to affect the answer, $7.56. And so that is the amount of interest earned, but then you have to add that to the original. And so the real final answer is $307.56. That's how much the investment will be worth at the end of that time period, because you'll have the original amount plus the interest you earned. All right, that's pretty much how simple interest problems are going to work. Here's another one. Another couple, actually. So again, we're doing I equals PRT on both of these. And so when we go plug everything in, this one, we have a P of 7,500. We have a R of 4.8%, written as a decimal, 0.048. And it's going to be in 4 years for the time. Then we're going to add that answer that we get to the original amount. So 7,500 times 0.48 times 4 years, 1,440. Add those two together, and we get $8,940. That'll be how much the investment is worth after 4 years. So again, you're always adding the P after you find the interest. You need to add the P value again to the interest that you earned. All right, number 6, Jody invested $256.75. That's our principal, $256.75. It pays in simple interest, so we're using I equals PRT, simple interest at 0.0125 or 1.25%. And how much will it be worth after 1 year? All right, so we're going to calculate that. 256.75 times 0.0125 times 1. 321 if we round it, $3.21. We need to add the original principal, and we get $259.96 as the final amount after the interest is earned. So that's it for simple interest. Remember, that's using the first formula here on the formula chart, and it will say simple interest. Also, if it says compound interest annually, you just use simple interest as well. That means the same thing. You'll notice I did that there for number 5. So it doesn't affect the answer. If it says compounded annually, that means you're still going to use simple interest. All right. Now we get into unemployment insurance. Mr. Paget lost his job, hopefully not, through no fault of his own, her own. He worked there for 3 years, and then the last year earned $3,800. He applied for unemployment insurance. What will his weekly benefit be? All right, so we're going to do the unemployment. So if you remember these, the unemployment insurance is calculated as a percentage, And it says here it's 1% of the employee's yearly salary per week up to $426 per week. So we need to calculate 1%. Okay, so worked there for 3 years, and last year he earned $3,800. So we're going to have $3,800 times 1%. Okay, this is the amount, this is the unemployment insurance number. And that's how much you get paid monthly. So we do 3,800 times 0.01. So that's only going to be $38 per week. All right. That's it. If you get a number above $426 for that answer, you automatically lower to 426. You cannot have an unemployment benefit higher than 426. So keep that in mind. All right, next one. Mr. Munoz invested $245 in a regular savings account that paid compound interest at a rate of 8.9 per year, compounded monthly. How much was it worth in 4 years? Lots of key pieces of information here, but our formula is the second row on your formula chart. A equals P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT power. A lot of things to plug in, so let's get everything in there. So first things first, the P value is 245. 1 plus R over N. R is the rate written as a decimal, so it's going to be 0.089. And N is the number of times per year. That's going to be the monthly, so that's 12 months in a year. And then how much is it worth in 4 years? So N times T is going to be 12 times 4. Okay, so if you're going to type this all in, you need to type it basically how you see it right here. So let me show you how that looks on Desmos. So 245 times 1 plus, I'm going to put that in parentheses, 1 plus 0.089 divided by 12, close the parentheses, raised to 4 times 12. Notice how I did that. So notice this right here is the way you need to be typing this in order for it to work properly. So I get 349.30 cents. So the investment will be 349.40. So you can type that on. Now, if you're going to work it out individually, you need to use order of operations, calculate the fraction first, multiply these numbers out here on the exponent first, add up everything on the inside, raise it, do the whole thing. But otherwise, if you type it in properly, you can type it all in at once. Now, on a TI or a Casio calculator, it's not quite as simple. So I would highly recommend using this as your calculator for these especially. It says here, the sales tax on purchases, calculate the sales tax on purchases totaling $78,250. Sales tax rate is 8.25%. This is as simple as multiplying the amount times the sales tax. So you're going to multiply 78,250 times the tax rate, written as a decimal, always. So here we go. Go ahead and move this over without the comma there. So 78,250 times 0.0825, and it's 6,455.63. Again, 6,455.63 when you round it, and that's the answer. All right. Let's jump over to the next one. Another unemployment question. Let's try this again. Having a little bit of issues with the... All right. There you go. Miss Bridgewater has a job that pays $238 per week. How much is withheld from each paycheck for Social Security? So we don't need to do any multiplying to find like annual or anything like that. It's just how much on each check is coming out. So we just need to do 238 times the Social Security percentage. So security is 4.2%. So 0.042. 238 times 0.042 is $9. Well, really, it's going to round up to 10. Exactly, $10. It's going to round up. So it's going to be 10 even on that. Sophia is paid $7.45 an hour with time and a half for overtime. What will her gross pay be for a pay period in which she worked 48 hours one week and 41 hours the next week for a total of 89 hours? All right, a lot going on here. The first thing you need to know is that for overtime, the first 40 hours each week gets paid at the normal rate. So we know that 80 hours are going to get paid $7.45 per hour. That's simple. Let me erase that and get that written a little neater. $7.45. And then we're going to add to that the other 9 hours times time and a half. And the way that looks is you're going to multiply 745 times 1.5, and that's the rate you're going to use. So when I add the answers to these two, that will be the total pay. So 80 times 745. 80 times 745 is 596. 596 even. And then 9 times 745 times 1.5. 9 times 745 times 1.5. Notice I put parentheses around it. Actually doesn't matter. 158. Add those two together, and we get 696 and 58. That is the pay for the gross pay. All right. Next one is a tax question. Mr. Tirina is single and earns $15,000 per year. What is his annual federal withholding? That's going to come down to this chart down here. So he is in the single category. So it's going to come under the first big section here. And we need to figure out, first of all, which line does he start from? And it tells us what to do. So if he's in $15,000, he's on the second row between $10,000 and $850. Oops, sorry about that. He's here. So between $10,850 and $37,500. So we use the following formula. We do $870 to start. Okay, so let's just write that down. We know it's going to be $870. That's going to be one part of the tax. Plus, and then it's going to be 15% of everything minus $10,850. So we need to take $15,000 minus $10,850 and then multiply that answer times 15%, 0.15. Okay, so that's 0.15. So that's what we do. So we're going to go over 15,000 minus 10,850. Answer times 0.15, 622.50. So that's going to be 622.50. So we do 870 plus that. Plus 870 is 1,492.50. 1,492.50. And that's the amount of withholding. So that's how you use this chart. You find the line, and then within that, you need to do what it says. It gives you the total for that line, and then you need to do whatever percentage of the subtraction, what's left after you subtract the number there. All right. So let's hop over to the next thing. And give me just a second here. All right. So we're going to keep moving here. Another question about overtime. Claire has a job that pays $22.50 an hour for a 40-hour work week. She's paid time and a half for every hour over 40 she works in a week. What will her gross pay be for a week in which she works 53 hours? So we know that this 53 hours is made up of 40 hours at regular pay and 13 hours at overtime pay. So we're going to do 40 times the base rate, $22.50. That's going to be one part of the answer. The other part of the answer is going to be the 13. And again, times $22.50 times 1.5. And then those are our two multipliers there. 40 times 22.5. That's 900. Then we have 13 times 22.50. 13 hours times 22.50 times 1.5. 438.75. And then we add those up. We get 1,338.75. All right. So that's it for that question. Next one is one of the more complicated ones, takes more steps. We have, it says Ashley's offered a job which pays a base salary of $325 per week. The company will pay one half the cost of the medical insurance, one half the cost of the dental insurance, and 1/4 of the cost of vision insurance and the full cost of life insurance. And then it gives you the cost of each one. What is the annual value? In other words, what is the job paying for? So we need to add up everything the job is paying for, including the salary. So first things first, first part is 325 times 52. Erase that. That's the salary portion. So let's do that. 325 times 52, $16,900. And we're going to add that to the cost of each thing. They're going to pay half the cost of medical insurance. Okay. Medical insurance is $200 times 12 for each month. And then they're going to do half. So we do times 0.5. 200 times 12 times 0.5, or 200 times 12 divided by 2. Either way, you get the same answer. I'll show you. 200 times 12 times 0.5, which is, or you can do times 1/2. You get 1,200. That's plus, that's medical. Then we're going to do the next one, half of dental. Dental is 98, so we do 98 times 12 times 1/2. Sorry about that. Times 0.5. 98 times 12 times 1/2 is 588. That's how much they pay of the dental insurance cost. They pay 1/4 of vision. The full yearly cost of vision is 112. We're going to do that times 0.25, or 1/4. 112 times 1/4 is $28. All right. Then it says the full monthly cost of life insurance is $10, and they pay all life insurance. So they pay $10 and they do it 12 times because that's the monthly, and we want to know the full annual cost. So that's going to be $120. So now we just add all those numbers together. 16,900 plus 1,200 plus 588 plus 28 plus 120, 18,836. That's the full amount that the job value is. So you do each part separately, and you just kind of have to logically think through the amounts. Is it monthly? Is it weekly? All those kinds of things. Last one. I have 3 problems here to go over. Steve has been offered 3 jobs. Job A pays $300 per week. Job B pays a salary of $15,525, and job C pays $3,852 semi-monthly, twice a month. All right, so we just have to calculate each one. So we have job A, that's 300 times 52. Job B is just straight up 15,525. And job C is 3,852 times 24, twice a month. So we do 300 times 52 first. That's 15,600. So already that one is looking good. That's better than B. So we can already knock out B from the running. C is 3,852 times 24, 3,852 times 24, and that is way more. Oh, semi-monthly. Oh, that's going to be every other month, so I did that wrong. See, I make mistakes. Semi-monthly means that it's going to be 6 times every other month. So we have to do that differently. 3,852 times 6, 23,112, 23,112. So clearly that is our winner, job C. All right. Next one. Blake is married and earns $89,255 per year. What's the weekly? That's a key word, weekly. Federal withholding. Let me move this guy up. I can actually see that. All right. Okay, weekly. Weekly is the key word here, I'd say. Most important word there. We're going to use the chart. We're going to find married 89,000. So we go over here. Married, that's going to be this side. 89,000 is in this row. So we do the following calculations. 9,735 is the first part. 9,735 is automatic. And then we're going to add the following. 25% of, so 0.25% of the total minus 78,800. So 89,255 minus 78,800. And then we add those two. So 0.25 times 89,255, I believe is the number, yep, minus 78,800. I messed up my parentheses. There we go. 2,613.75. 2,613.75. And then we're going to add that. So we get 75 on the end. 8, 4, 12,348.75 would be the weekly. Oh, no, that's not the weekly. Now I need to take that number and divide it by weekly. So that's 52. So we divide our answer, 12,348.75 divided by 12. Nope, 52. 238.17. So not this. This is the answer right here. Sorry about that. I wasn't reading carefully. You got to pay attention to that weekly thing. Last thing, Marissa lives in California, which has state income tax of 5.89%. She earns $784 weekly. How much state income tax is withheld from each of her paychecks? Easy calculation, $738 or 784 times the percentage, which is 0.0589. That's the amount withheld. 784 times 0.0589 is 4618. I'm rounding there. There it is. All right, so that is it. I will post these answers for you on the study guide answers document. You guys are doing great. Please reach out and let me know if you need anything through chat or email. And hopefully see you guys testing this week. Good luck.